What's up, everybody? My name's Big Cam and welcome back to another movie review. And just like yesterday's movie review, we are talking about some animated movies, and we're going to be talking two of them, The Bad Guys 1 and The Bad Guys 2. And The Bad Guys 1 came out back in 2022, and I believe this is like a Dreamworks Universal picture rather than Zootopia's Disney picture. And Zootopia came out, I believe, first. So Universal probably had this idea and then was like, shit, we can't do that. We're going to look exactly like them. So then they kind of might have, switched into this idea of like, oh, we'll follow a group of bad guys. And I will say their core group is a lot of fun to follow, and I would follow them into any movie, and like led by the wolf, voiced by Sam Rockwell. Can't not love Sam Rockwell in anything I've ever seen Sam Rockwell in. He's tremendous. Love him. Marc Maron as the snake. Don't really love Marc Maron, but he's a great voice of the snake. AWKWAFINA, tremendous as the tarantula. Craig Robinson as the shark is hilarious. Anthony Ramos as the piranha. I didn't think I would think this character was so funny, but he is. He's just like this tootin' little funny fucking mango-shaped piranha. And he's constantly getting nervous and tooting. And like, oh, he's always just tooting in the worst situations too. And it's so funny. And like, my mother is she thinks funny farts are the funniest thing in the world. So I could show her just a couple of clips of the piranha farting in this, and she'd be rolling on the ground, crying, laughing. I could already tell. But the first film I didn't like as much as the second film, and that's mostly because the first film had this terrible villain of Professor Marmalade, and anytime he was on screen I was just like, I hate this little fucker, like I just don't like it. And like, he was voiced by Richard Ayoade. I have no idea, but either way, I don't recognize him a whole lot, and if I do, I don't like him. But there's some things about this movie I really do like, and the fact that the wolf and Zazie beats Diane Foxington, and she's like the mayor or like governor, like, but she's also the Crimson Paw, so she's like a bad guy just like them, but she's trying to go good. And that's kind of what the whole Bad Guys first movie is about, is that they're bad, but they're also kind of good, and they want to start taking over a new leaf and doing good things. And then even in the second film, like, they're still bad guys and they're doing bad things, but they're trying to do it for the right reason and good things. They're being framed, right? So they couldn't turn the second movie into the good guys, so they just kept the bad guys and Bad Guys 2, and they're just gonna keep on going. And like, between watching this Bad Guys 1 and 2 and Zootopia 1 and 2, it was funny to me because Zootopia 1 I thought was better film than Zootopia 2, but The Bad Guys 2 I think is a better film than The Bad Guys 1. And The Bad Guys 2 has, a great group of girls as villains, and like the big villain is Danielle Brooks as the kitty cat, like, panther-like girl. And Danielle Brooks is so funny, and I love her as Adebayo in Peacemaker. Too funny. But Danielle Brooks has done a ton of stuff, and she's with her Doom, her like, bird friend, who's also kind of with the snake, and Susan, voiced by Natasha Lyonne, and then Maria Bakalova, who voiced Cosmo in Guardians of the Galaxy and is hilarious. I love Maria Bakalova, and she's the pig with them in the bad group. But then, we still have Zazie Beetz as the fox, the Crimson Paw, the governor. She's back, and her and the wolf in this film, actually get a chance to like, hug and embrace, and then they kiss. And as they kiss, they have this like great moment. They're like floating around in space and kissing, and I was like, yes, this is exactly what Zootopia 2 should have done. But instead of this epic kiss moment, they just hugged, and it was like, oh, that's nice, that's sweet. Oh, we want to see them kiss. And I respect the hell out of the bad guys because they leaned into it. They made the two animals kiss, regardless of them being two different species. At least they're close. They're a fox and a wolf. They're pretty close. I guess they're both in the dog family, if you know what I mean. But the canines. Actually, at least it's not a fox and a bunny. Two completely different species. But hey, I still want to see him kiss. And in The Bad Guys 2, it's funny because like in Zootopia, everybody is a different animal. In the bad guys, they're animals, and some of the other, you know, villain creatures are animals. The mayor, Foxington, is an animal. But there's also people in the bad guys, you know, like you see, like, you know, real cops, you know, real humans chasing after them. And like, it's funny because, like, you know, it makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't. You're like, how is there animals, but some of them are people, some of them are animals, and they just don't care. You know, they're just like, oh, whatever, it's a fox, it's okay. That's the bad guys. You know, like, I don't know. The story in Zootopia, I think, is better, but the bad guys as a crew is more entertaining, especially in the second one. Like, I was so down just to spend more time with the bad guys and Tarantula, Snake, Piranha, Shark, and the Fox. Like, them as a group, I would spend all day with. And then, like, the villain group they had with Danielle Brooks, Natasha Lyonne, and Maria Bakalova. I don't know. It's a hard name to say. But very, very good movie regardless. And I liked Bad Guys 2 slightly more than Bad Guys 1. I gave Bad Guys 1 3 out of 5 stars, and I gave Bad Guys 2 4 out of 5 stars. Not even a half-star jump, a full star jump between the Bad Guys 1 and the Bad Guys 2. But comparatively to the Zootopia, I gave Zootopia 1 4 stars, and I gave Zootopia 2 3.5 stars, right? So both the Zootopias I would rewatch. The Bad Guys 2 I would definitely rewatch, but the Bad Guys 1 I don't want to rewatch, mostly just because of that Marmalade prick, in which Marmalade does return in this second film, and yeah, he's off in space somewhere, being jacked and like covered in tattoos now because he was in prison, and like still up to some evil good, but he's now escaped prison, and a bunch of prisoners they accidentally let go in Bad Guys 2, so it looks like they're going to be secret agents in the third film, which is very interesting. So, between the Bad Guys 2 also being set up for a third film, with Zootopia 2 also setting up a third film, I think Zootopia is going to have a third film where they're going to introduce birds into the Zootopia, and then the Bad Guys 3 is going to be our group with the 5 core, you know, the Piranha, Snake, Tarantula, Shark, and Wolf, and they're going to add a 6th member, Zazie Beetz' you know, Mrs. Fox. She's the Crimson Paw. She's going to join the group, and the 6 of them are going to be secret agents for whatever in the Bad Guys 3. Either way, I'm totally down to see another one of these films. I'm glad that there's animated films like this that are getting put out there, and they're both, like, sure, they're animated and they're meant for kids, but they're both not dumbed down in any way where, like, they're meant for kids. Like, they're genuinely good movies for adults. You know, if you're a fan of animation, there is no, like, oh, it's animated, it's for kids. So dumb if you think like that. It's just an art form and just the type of project they tried to make. Could they have done this in live action? Sure, why not? But it would have taken a lot more time and effort, and then it would have still been like CGI'd and probably closer to an animated project anyway. So I think if you're gonna do a movie like this, or Zootopia, make it animated, make it great, and it probably is a lot easier to do an animated, and you have your imagination to be able to do whatever you want to do with animation. So that's like a real plus, you know? You don't have to be constrained by the real world physics of things. You can just do whatever your mind can imagine and draw is what the movie can look like, you know? So I think animation is a beautiful art form, and I really love it. And I hope you guys enjoyed The Bad Guys Part 1 and Part 2, or The Bad Guys 1 and 2. And go check out Zootopia 2 in theaters if you haven't. And if you aren't a Zootopia person and you're a Bad Guys person, comment below why. I'd love to know which ones you liked better if you haven't seen one or the other, you know. I'd also love to know that, you know, if you've seen the Bad Guys movies but you haven't seen Zootopia, you know, why? Comment below. Or, you know, maybe just by coincidence you haven't, and, you know, if you haven't, go check out the other one. Disney Plus has the Zootopia films, and probably will have Zootopia 2 once that comes out of theaters, but the Bad Guys 1 and 2 are both currently out now on Peacock, I believe, or yeah, I think it's Peacock. Yeah, go check it out though if you haven't. Go find these movies, comment below your thoughts on them, leave your score out of 5 or 10 stars. Follow me on Letterboxd, my other social medias if you would like to follow those. Their links are down in the description below. And if you guys have made it this far into the video, I can't thank you enough. I highly appreciate you. And if you would like to support the channel, the best way to do that is dropping a like on this video, commenting down in the comment section below, subscribing if you haven't already, and hitting that bell so you don't miss future movie reviews and you get the notifications when those come out. Once again, my name's Big Cam, and I will see you beautiful people in the next video. Peace!